If you've ever heard about print on demand or you've even considered starting print on demand, you've probably asked the question, how much can I realistically make with print on demand? So today, let's go over realistic timelines, what I was able to do, what I've seen others be able to do, so you can set up expectations for yourself when starting print on demand. So I started my print on demand store in 2021, and it is now my full-time job with over $700,000 in revenue with my store. And just in the last week, I hit my best sales week ever, hitting over 200 sales a day, which has just been amazing. But my store was not an instant success. It took me over 70 listings to get my first sale, and it took me over 5 weeks of designing to get that first sale. I also didn't have a major growth for my first few months. Actually, I was pretty flat, and yet I kept designing until my first Q4. I managed to find a few best-selling designs, and then combined with Q4, and I was also really going hard at adding new listings at that time, is when I was able to really skyrocket my store. But that didn't happen for at least 6 to 7 months after me starting. So here are my all-time stats right now. Again, I started in 2021, and then from 2022 to 2023, 2023 is not done yet. I am in November when filming this, so I'm expecting this to go up, and I'm already over my sales from last year. But this is what my first year looked like. For these first 3 months, I think that was me purchasing, and I think having friends purchase in the first 2 months. And then after that, I maybe had a few sales a month, so nothing major. And then I just really hit the jackpot because I have learned what designs were working for me. I learned what niches were working for me. I learned what mock-ups were working for me. I learned how to do research. This was all me trying to figure out things on my own. So it did take a little bit, and then everything seemed to click, combined with Q4 of my first year. And this is when I really saw a major rise in my sales. But a lot of people might be thinking, oh, well, this was 2021. There's a lot more competition on Etsy nowadays, so this isn't possible anymore. And let me just prove you wrong with that. And I do want to start by saying I had the exact same thought. 2020 was the biggest print on demand year. So starting in 2021, everyone told me that the rise of print on demand is over and that I wouldn't be making sales. Yes, maybe I would have made more if I started earlier, but I would have made none of these sales if I didn't just start. One thing I like to do is I like to track competition or other print on demand stores using the E-Rank competition. So you can just go to sales and you can put in any name of any store you want to track just to see how they are doing. And these are all print on demand stores in here. Some of them making 500 plus sales a day, some of them making 400 sales a day. Some of them started in the last 2 years. This one here is just shy of 2 years, 1 year, 9 months, and they're making the highest amount of sales I've seen from the ones that I'm tracking. We have this one here, 1 year, 8 months, and they're making about 200 to 300 sales a day. We have my store here making about, right now, 100 to 200 sales a day. Keep in mind, right now I am filming over Q4. So right now everyone's having a major surge, but this is what is possible during Q4. Scrolling down, we see some other ones that are just a year old, making about 80 sales a day. And we even have this one here. It's 2 months. For some reason, E-Rank isn't really letting me track their daily sales. I think because I just added them, but they started 2 months ago and are just shy of 2,000 sales. Is everybody going to hit these numbers? Absolutely not. But I do believe if you put in the hard research and the hard learning curve of absolutely trying to nail down every piece of Etsy listing, such as SEO, doing your mockups, creating a great storefront, I truly believe that people can get there. Again, it took me 5 weeks to make my first sale, and I didn't really see a major increase in sales 4 months after starting, but I just persisted and kept listing. And every time I listed, I learned something, and I watched videos. I found out what was working, and just accumulating all this knowledge over all these months, while many people would have given up earlier in the stage, I think is the reason I was so successful. And since then, my sales have just been amazing, especially during Q4. I also want to set expectations for people when they are starting that not all months are created equal. If you take a look at my graph, every single year, it goes up and down and up and down. Because majority of my products are sweatshirts, I don't sell that much in the summertime, and I'm heavily relying on usually about August till March for my sales, and then I expect the dip over the really warm months. But do not compare yourself to people making 200 sales a day. How I decided to discover if I was able to quit my job is I calculated how much I was making at my job on a daily basis. And then I calculated how much sales I would need on Etsy to make the equivalent of that. So I was making about $70,000 at work, which before tax was $5,833 a month in money coming to me. I was making about $15 to $20 Canadian, especially back then. Margins were a little bit better. They have slightly decreased since then, but back when I was deciding if I should quit my job, I was making about 15 to 20 Canadian on each order. I also usually had a lot of multiple product orders. So let's just say my average profit was about $17.50 Canadian, which is about 12 something USD. So I divided how much I made per month at work divided by 1750 Canadian. So that means I only needed to make 333 sales a month to make the equivalent of what I was making at work. And dividing that by the number of days in the month, I only needed 10 to 12 sales a day to match the profit of what I was making at work. And this again just has to be your average over the year. But since that major rise for me in the first year, I don't think I've really ever had many days that have been under 10 sales. So breaking this into bite-sized chunks of how much you want to make a month makes this a lot more easy than when you're comparing to these big shops that are making hundreds of sales a day, because you don't need to make hundreds of sales a day. It's possible because this is scalable, but it shouldn't be the first goal that you have your eyes on, because it's going to make this whole thing seem extra overwhelming. And the print-on-demand market is not going anywhere. Yes, there might be new people entering the market, but there's always brand new products. There's brand new ideas, brand new trends, so much coming, and including a trend right now. We can see there's a major surge in personalized small batch printing, which is exactly what print on demand is great for. I have some students who have started and have already surpassed thousands of sales. I have one student who worked hard in the first few months and then couldn't keep working on her store, but since then, she's just still maintained the same amount of sales because she put in the work up front and she hasn't had to keep adding to her store to maintain those sales. Again, do I think everyone will get there? No. Do I think if everyone put in the hard effort to do so, could they get there? Absolutely yes. Again, you could get your first sale the first day. You could get it within the first week. You could get it in the first month. It might be 2 months. It might be 5 weeks for me. Not everyone's journey is exactly the same, because some people might have a leg up. Some people might already have a really good niche they started with. Some people might already understand design. Some people might have sold on Etsy before and already understand SEO. But if every time you're listing, you're moving forward with the idea that you're going to get slightly better with every single listing, eventually you're going to get to the point that you fully understand this system and can create multiple bestsellers in best-selling niches. So if print on demand is something that excites you, and I highly emphasize that this should be something that you find enjoyable, you should enjoy the process. Otherwise, it's going to be really hard to keep going when you're not seeing sales right away. But if it's something that you love and you could see yourself doing for a little bit as you get better and as sales slowly start to accumulate, then I truly believe that you can be successful and eventually you will get to the point that you want to.